Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we are looking at Saturday's playoff game here as the Thunder are now the team trying to stay alive in Game 6. Back in Dallas as the Mavs look to close things out. We've got best bets in this episode. Also have player props up as always in a separate video. So make sure to subscribe to that page and continue to follow along with us for the rest of this postseason. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Use everything that we have up on the site right now, including that prop finder tool to make sure that you are getting the best juice available to you from all of these books giving us bets this postseason. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into your first best bet here for Mavs and Thunder.
Look, it's Mavs -4, Mavs to win, but we're bringing you some options here. Like, I mean, that's obviously the pick. Doesn't require that much thought, but I mean, for Mavs to be halftime and full time to get you plus 105, I think you can fire with that type of risk here. I don't think OKC is going to be up at the end of the half here, and I don't think the Mavs are going to collapse the way they did in Game 4. Or, I mean, just let SGA kind of take their life while Kairuka just stood by and watched it happen. I mean, they're just absolutely dominating defensively in a defensive series, right? I mean, both teams are playing pretty good defense, but Dallas has more answers. Like, Jason Kidd has more levers to pull, and he's been pulling them with great success. Lively or Gafford just giving Chet the work, and they just crushed them on the glass lately. No rebounds, no rings, right? OKC, like, they're ahead of schedule. They know they're ahead of schedule. Like, they've entered the playoffs with this expectation. Like, we're seeing the Timberwolves, like, come out with absolute desperation in Game 6. Like, it's just not the same situation. Like, OKC is expected to bow out here and lose this game. And I mean, they've lost the last 3 first halves by an average of 7 per game, 1.6 assist to turnover ratio, just horrendous. Only 3 second chance points per games. Yeah, the rebounding rate is a 10% difference. That's what your eyes see. And I mean, the Mavs are winning these first halves without Kyrie really doing much in terms of scoring. Like, I think there's way too much of a narrative. Like, where's Kyrie at? It's like, well, he's playing point guard. He's playing the point guard position, and he's like close to leading the series in assists. And he's a plus 38 in these last 3 first halves because he's also playing excellent defense along with the rest of the team and shutting off SGA and daring these Thunder shooters, non-shooters to shoot, mostly Dort and Chet, who they're fine with hoisting as many threes as they want. I mean, Chet doesn't seem to have much gas at this point or much oomph in this series because there's just nothing going on inside the lines. I mean, I was originally thinking about like reverse fading OKC to be like, they're going to score over 50 in the first half. Like, no way they can keep shooting this poorly. But like, honestly, not. Like, I just think that there's just no spacing for them, and Dallas isn't like giving them a ton of wide open shots. Like, they're identifying who they're okay with shooting, but they're still closing out, right? And they're still forcing OKC into all sorts of traffic. And I mean, yeah, Luka has juice in the first half. We still haven't gotten that Kyrie like offensive aggressive game. So I definitely trust the Mavs to at least win this first half and then bring it home.
Yeah, I don't have anything against that, to be honest with you. I can't find a reason to bet OKC. Everything about this series, like, if anything, they're playing with house money. Like, they shouldn't have won the game that they came back and won. To be honest, they were great in the fourth quarter in a lot of ways, and Dallas was equally as not great in that fourth quarter of Game 4, I believe. Yeah, it's tough to keep track with all these. Game 4 there, back in Dallas, that second one in Dallas, and I think we all were pretty like confident that Dallas was going to come back with a 3-1 lead heading back to OKC. And then they just pulled the game out in Game 5. And there's not much that you see as like reserves in the arsenal anymore. Like, they've kind of exhausted it. Isaiah Joe's going to have to shoot way better. It was 2 for 8 from last game. There was a bit of like, well, let's get these threes up, boys. It was 43 pointers that they took. Lou Dort, some ill-advised threes. Luka is back on his BS. Honestly, it really seems like the way he controlled that last game. If you watch back a bunch of the plays on offense, like I could name a ton of shots that he could have made that were little bunnies in the lane, and he still got his 31. So with the triple double, The rebounds are something I keep liking for Luka as well, and I keep actually continue to like the assists more, to be honest, because I agree with you that Kyrie's been more point Kyrie in this series, but it seems like Luka's a little bit healthier now, and his touches in the last game were up a bit as well. So yeah, he's taken over. All the sort of like reserve Arsenal stuff seems like Dallas still has more they could throw at them, to be honest with you. And PJ Washington didn't even have a good game last game, and they still won by double digits. So big stuff there. I'm going under in this game, though. It's something that I like. I really thought this would be at like 204, 205 at this point. This series has gone cleanly under in the last 3 games after the first 2 went over with faster paces, but also just way more efficient offense. Both these teams actually playing pretty good D. There's more answers on the side of Dallas for guarding OKC at this point. We've got that pretty clear. And in part because like, look, man, it's like SGA is up at the level of like a Luka, let's say, if you want to put them on the same tier. I mean, they're both MVP candidates, but you put them on the same tier. And then what? And then whose roster do you want, right? In the playoffs right now at this particular junction. I'm not saying it 4 years from now when Chet and J-Dub have a ton of experience in the playoffs and are coming back, but with this level of like of lack of experience, I don't think that they're going to be able to overcome unless it's like an outlier shooting game. So both these games going, like I said, so cleanly under in the last 3 has me a little bit confused. Plus, when we come back to Dallas, I like this under more. That's with Dallas in the playoffs. I didn't know if it was something we wanted to rely upon after the first series that Dallas played, where they were just incredible at home, went so much slower at home as well. And their defense really is what stands out to you, because their offense is still just moving at the same methodical, plotting kind of pace. They tried to get into transition a couple times in this last game against the Thunder. That's the best transition defense in the league is OKC. So that really quickly stopped. There was most of the fast break points for that Dallas team ended up in the first half of last game. And then they really slowed things down. And I kind of see that as the consistent game script for Dallas. To a degree, they've actually let their foot off the gas a little bit too much in the fourth quarter. Not necessarily the case in this last game, but in prior games, there was a little bit less defense from them and a little bit more like, let's not get too many points let's run this clock out. It's like, well, 24 seconds isn't going to help you that much. You should probably try to still score with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And they did eventually. Like Luka and Kyrie in this last fourth quarter took note and like shot a bit more than they did in the previous game. But it still is like them trying to slow things down. And the efficiency was the only reason that they even scored a decent amount of points in the fourth quarter of this last game, but they still weren't trying to take the volume of shots that OKC was, and they were forcing it. It was just bad shots, and that's what I continue to see in this one. They're not getting anything down low. If you look at the way that they're guarding Shai when he gets in the paint, he can do whatever he wants. Like you said, yeah, go ahead and pass it to Isaiah Joe, who's 1 for 6 right now from 3. Go ahead and pass it to Lou Dort, who's made 2 in a row. We don't think he can make 3 in a row. He's got to regress at some point. Not that good of a shooter. And then they did start to get out on the shooters a little bit more, but the contested field goals and actually in the second half were a little bit higher than in the first half. So they were giving it up a little bit more in the first half. But yeah, I expect this pace to continue at maximum to be about a 94 pace or so. And the Thunder with their 101 offensive rating, plus a good defensive rating as well, by the way, like still around like under 110 for this team. So they're playing fine defense against this Mavs squad, about as well as you could, I would say, against a Luka-led team. But now that he's a little bit healthier, I still like them to win. So I still don't think points are going to be the way that the Mavs want to win. They want this thing to be in the 102 to 95 range, if you will, and take that kind of win. So I'm going to bank on that happening once again for the Mavs at home.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Thunder team total under even more. I mean, it was 103.5 dropped to 102, and I just checked again, and Dallas has actually dropped 1 point. Yeah. And OKC's back up to 103. So if you can get that 103.5, yeah, hit their under just to give you multiple outs, I think, because there is a chance that this is like a 120 to 90 win, right? That OKC is just like everyone but Shea. I don't necessarily trust to just be like, yo, we're fighting to the bitter end. Like they're almost rookies. Like this is a team of rookies. If it starts to go haywire on the road, like, and I mean, Dallas just did this and closing out the Clippers, right? It was 120 to 90. So that would be the one bad beat, I think, for your under. Otherwise, it makes total sense, like Dallas to win and keep this thing relatively low scoring. So yeah, you mentioned PJ Washington didn't even have a good game. That's where we're at now. The one member of their big 3 didn't step up. But I think this is a good way to juke the money line, is him to score 15 in the win, plus 160. And honestly, to him to take to make 3 threes, he will definitely take more, is about plus 130, 140. And I think that's even safer because such a high percentage of his shots are coming from the 3. And he went 2 for 7 in this last game. But like, watch the footwork. Like, you can honestly, if you're watching a basketball game, just look at a dude's feet when they're putting up a three, and pretty much know whether it's going in or not. And he was just like, he's just rock solid. Like, he had a couple rim outs, he had a back heel, and then he had one that was a front iron, and he went and followed it and dunked. Right. I mean, he is scoring in more ways than just the three. I don't mean to call him one dimensional at all. You don't score 25 and a half a game over 3 games by not having the ability to go to the basket as well. But look, OKC does not have the resources to completely, face guard him when they're dealing with Kairuka. Like, he's going to continue to get 8 to 10 clean looks from three, maybe from corner three, right? And he's been knocking them down. Like, people are like, where is this coming from? Well, he's a Dallas native who is absolutely thrilled to be in the playoffs for the first time. Now has an opportunity to close this team out in Dallas. Just an absolutely raucous arena. I'm sure every shot he takes, he's just like going to be like, absolutely, like, yes, fuck yes, like, this is for my city. And I mean, yeah, he's been able to get more threes up at home in these playoffs. He's been able to score more. He scored more in the regular season at home once he was acquired by Dallas. 3 more points per game. And yeah, scoring more, actually shooting a lower percentage from three at home in these playoffs versus on the road, but still scoring more points per game because the volume is up and because there's just a little more juice to this Dallas offense. So I think PJ, gets at least 15, at least 3 threes in this Dallas win.
Yeah, if you keep believing in PJ Washington, then this is a good bet. The books just don't raise his points much past this, and they like to keep it in multiples of 3 as well. It seems like it's like 15 or 14 and a half to get 15 or 17 and a half to get 18. Like, how many threes do you think PJ Washington's going to hit? But at the same time, he's still been really good about getting run off the line. Now he's hit early, and that's helped him get the other ones, but he's so around the board so often that the opportunities for him to get lobs or putbacks also remains high. Like, that's what this Dallas team is about. It's either hit that 3 or get all the way in the lane, or wait for Luka to get you the ball. And PJ has been a guy that has been entrusted with the ball a ton. So I expect his touches and shots to remain up and high, like you're saying here. I'm going to close it out with a head-to-head bet here. Got to make sure we get one in. 4-0, by the way, on these head-to-headers. And just keep taking Tyrese Halliburton to hit more threes than Jalen Brunson's worked in the first half of this last game. We'll see how the Pacers and Knicks end. But for me, I'm going back to one we actually already used, which is Chet versus Gafford. Last time it was Gafford plus 1.5 rebounds, which was laughable. Loved hitting that. Now we lose the one, and now just a half a rebound that Chet is expected to get more than Gafford, and we get plus 100. Gafford has had more rebounds than him in 80% of the games in this series. I don't understand what I'm missing. Maybe they're just basing this on rebound chances and forgetting that you have to actually pull down the rebound. It can't just be a rebound chance to count here for this bet, because Gafford, like I said, covered in 4 or 5, out-rebounded him in all 4 of those 5, and the only one that he did not was a game where he left because he dislocated a finger on his hand, which is very important for rebounding. Still came back in, by the way, and got over the rebounds in that game. That was his number. Just couldn't get there to beat Chet, who had his best rebounding game of the season, second best rebounding game of this series when he had 8. But like I was saying, for Chet in this series, it's not about the chances. It's about the success rate. And he has a 37% success rate on his rebound chances, pulling down 6.8 per game now in this series, 18.2 chances. And obviously had a bad game in this last one where, he had 4 rebounds on his fewest rebound chances yet in the series at about 12. So I like that that's going down. I don't expect Dallas to change the way that they're shooting or making shots. When Gafford's in there, it's not like he's pulled away from the basket at all. But when Gafford's in there, that's his son at this point, as we've decided that he's just not a good matchup for him at this point. The deferred as well, like 3 deferred per game, Chet. We've talked about this as well, where like everyone's deferring to Luka on the Mavs. On the Thunder, they're kind of deferring to SGA, but there's also J-Dub coming in and getting a lot of his boards. And even guards are coming in at this point and getting well above their rebound total for the Thunder, because Chet is just not able to box out and go get the ball. It just takes too much from him, giving up that solid. At this point, I think it's like 45 pounds to Daniel Gafford. Might even be a little bit more than that. Even to Lively, who's come in and been so active and really good for them. But Gafford, conversely, has a 52% rebound chance success rate, because he's taking the ones that Chet's not getting. They're in there for a lot of the time together. And I think, if you're not taking this and you think it's a dumb bet, the only reason would be Chet's out there for more minutes. He's all the way up at about 38 per game in the last few. And Gafford and Lively will always be at about 25 each max, right? In this, they'll basically usually add up to 48 minutes since they stagger them so consistently. But like, I still think Gafford in 26 minutes with the same amount of rebound chances and a way better rebound chance percentage. I don't have anything else for you, man. It's even money, and I'm still going to take it.
I'll take Gafford. I'll take Doncic. I'll take Lively. I'll take 3 players on Chet's own team to out rebound him, like what happened last game. Yeah, like you said, like he's just kind of like filling some space, and then OKC's adjustment is like, we need the guards to pinch down here and rebound. So that's why I like Lou Dort to keep boarding up. I think SGA is good for the rebounds and assists per usual, because Chet needs help down there. But yeah, if you can fade him either way, like I'm fine with Gafford even only playing half the game, getting as many rebounds as Chet.
Yeah, 100%. So that's all the time we have for you, though, in Best Bets for Saturday. Make sure to subscribe to that page and check out the Player Props video that we're also bringing you alongside this. And until we see you next, happy betting.